or even lower, depending on the defendant's ties to the community. If they have strong ties, they have a job here, they have family here, it's more likely to be granted up in circuit court to a lower bond because of that. But I also have clients that were out of state that are from the Detroit area and from the New York area, where once I got up to circuit court, they were even allowed to leave the state and come back because the circuit court believed that they would be present for these hearings. So I think every person looks at every case differently. And I think the utmost importance is the safety of the citizens, of course, but I think that there needs to be some sort of uh, allocation to seriousness of crimes or something like that, so that it's the same all around, so that you can be a magistrate court and automatically get that lower bond without having to go through all of the hoops and the state paying more money for the criminal defense attorneys to file these motions a week after the bond has been set.
Very good. Thank you, Stephanie, for your answer. I'm going to try Mr. Gougeot one more time. I certainly don't want to eliminate him. Unfortunately, no, we're still, no, well, we can hear you, but it's very muffled, like it's synthesized or it's very computer generated. Sir, Kyle McAvoy from our committee had just attempted to call you, and if you might want to take that call or call him right back, he could give you some tech support, and we'll try to get you engaged here so you'll be able to participate. We'll take this opportunity. Kyle was texting me an issue with the feed. Let me ask him if we're back up. We do have the one question submitted by a member of the watching audience. And so we'll catch that question as soon as he lets me know that our live feed is back up. So he tells me that we're back up and working, and so we're going to go, this is a question for magistrates. And so the question from our commenter, our viewer, to the magistrate candidates, my question is, what would you do to protect attorneys, court personnel, and the general public in these days of the pandemic? Defendants are incarcerated, come into court in orange, and no other personal protective equipment, PPE. Defendants who have made bond come into hearings, sometimes filthy. The courtrooms are small and it will be hard to social distance. What will you do as a magistrate to make sure we are all safe who come to magistrate court? We'll just stick with the order that we just had for respondents. So we'll start with Magistrate Holpit answering that question.
Okay, thank you. It's a very good question, and we have been dealing with this for quite a while now. Basically what we are doing, videos. If we can do video arraignments, we do them. If we can do any kind of video hearing, we do them. We do not allow more than 2 people in the courtroom at one time. And now we are requiring people to put masks on when they enter the building. I do keep a social distance. For example, in courtroom 1, where I have been doing all of the intakes since we have gone into this skeleton crew situation with the virus, we have an end table that is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 feet away from the bench. So we put that person at the end of that table. The officer will stand back even farther from him in the corner. And when I do the arraignment, for example, I type up all the paperwork. I go through the entire arraignment with that person, tell them exactly what they need to do. Then I take the paperwork, I walk it down a runway, which is probably about another 12 feet. I put all the paperwork at the end of that runway. The officer comes over after I leave the area, picks up the paperwork, then takes it over to the defendant, and then has them initial and sign all the proper paperwork, because I've already gone over everything with them. At that time, if they have any questions whatsoever, I am available to be able to answer those questions. That's how we do a live arraignment. There are some situations, for example, if we're doing a felony preliminary hearing, I had one last Friday. The person was not incarcerated, so they actually came into my courtroom. Again, we kept that social distance. And we had the prosecutor and we had their attorney on conference call. Everything was on speaker. And so the attorney needs to speak with his client. It's usually the first time they get to talk with each other. So what I do is I get up and I leave the courtroom so that they can have total privacy. Same thing with the prosecutor. The prosecutor leaves their room downstairs so the person can have privacy speaking with their counsel. So we have really gotten this thing down to a fine art, but we're still working our way through it. There are still situations that come up that we have to address. But yes, we do have the possibility of keeping people safe. And we're working very hard with that. We use sanitizer. I spray the courtroom down. I spray myself down with Lysol. And it's working. It's working. I think we have pretty much everybody in a safe position. That was a good question.
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your answer to that. It's a fairly technical question, and I think Magistrate Holpit has done a good job there of giving the actual mechanics, the process of it. Maybe if Mr. Pocius has anything he would like to add. In the interest of brevity, in the interest of time, I don't think that our candidates who are not sitting magistrates, maybe they would just add if they have something they would do that's different. But let's go to Mr. Pocius and see if he would like to add anything to that, the actual current process. And then we'll let our candidates, if they want to chime in with something that they would suggest that would be done differently, that's obviously acceptable, but we don't want to spend 25 minutes talking about a question that's very mechanical. Its process is already in place. So Mr. Pocius, go ahead.
Okay, I would say first off, anybody that is incarcerated right now, we are doing by video. So we're not dealing with the inmates face to face right now. And we are allowing anyone, attorneys, prosecutors, whatever we can do to phone conference in and having hearings that way. It's been a learning experience, but we're doing well with it. And I will say this, we have had a conference call with the magistrates, the circuit judges, the sheriff's department, as well as county commission on what we need to do and what we continue to need to do. And we are being led by Dr. Smith with the DHHR, who is giving us a lot of guidance on this. And something new that's just come up over the last couple of days, no one is permitted in the building now without a mask on. We will supply masks at the front door for you, but we do not. We are doing everything we can to flatten the curve.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Pocius. I've got I have our panelists now on gallery view. If any of the candidates who are not sitting magistrates would like to add a way that they would change the process, if they have something they'd like to add to the process as it's been outlined by Magistrate Holpit and Magistrate Pocius, if any of the candidates for magistrate would like to add something new to that conversation, please raise your hand. By all means, we'll unmute you and let you add your comment to the response to that question. But if not, I don't feel like we all have to address it because it is such a technical process of the court. So do any of the candidates who are not currently magistrates have something they'd like to add to that response? Okay, sounds good. We'll move on then to question 3. We're going to start back again with circuit judge candidates. Cindy Scott is first up with question 3, and the answer there, this kind of sounds like the stump speech, Cindy, but why should voters vote for you over your opponent?
Okay, I'll start by telling a little story. When I started practicing law 25 years ago, I worked, I had a sole practice, but I worked out of a small law firm called Oliver and Yakel. And Dan Oliver was one of the attorneys in that firm, and he taught a business law class. And I was interested in teaching that class too. But Dan said to me that I didn't have enough experience to be an effective teacher. He said to teach someone about the practice of law, you have to practice law, and you have to have your own experiences and your own cases to share. And I was a little bit offended because as a new law school graduate, you think you're prepared for the world, but I realized that he was right. I didn't have the necessary experience. For the next 12 years, I ran a private practice. And in that private practice, I was a defense attorney. I was a civil litigator. I did child abuse and neglect cases. I did a lot of work in family court. And during that time, I had a lot of people ask me to speak at different classes. And I realized at that time that I did have a lot to share. I had a lot to teach because of those experiences that I had gained. Then when I became an assistant prosecutor, I also understood what Dan was talking about. And I was a much better prosecutor because of the 12 years that I had spent as a defense attorney. I understood that, you know, what might look the same on the outside really isn't. And I understood how to peel those layers back and how to go and dig a little bit deeper for the best outcome. Then in addition, after serving 10 years as an assistant prosecutor, I now work for WVU in the Equity Assurance Office. And I've kind of come to understand a lot more about this community than I understood before, about equality issues and about opportunities for people to learn some of their implicit bias or some of those microaggressions that you really wouldn't even know existed if you hadn't been, you know, part of that program. And I would say that in addition, I have more trial experience. I have a very knowledgeable working knowledge of the rules of evidence and the civil and criminal rules of procedure. And that's important because that's what a circuit court judge needs to know how to apply those rules quickly and efficiently. And that's what I would be able to do. So I would conclude by saying that for 25 years, I have practiced here in Monongalia County. I have served as a defense attorney, as an assistant prosecutor. I've served with WVU's Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And all of that experience has given me what it takes to be an effective judge. I would say that Monongalia County deserves a judge that has come up through the ranks, a judge that has the necessary hands-on experience, who started in magistrate court, worked up through circuit court, has the necessary experience to most effectively serve this community. And so I say to you that I am the best candidate because of my experience and because of the time that I have served here in Monongalia County. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Cindy. We appreciate your response. Next up will be Judge Scudder answering the same question. One second. Okay,
Yeah,
there we go.
I got it. Thank you. As one of my friends who is more famous than I am likes to say, I'm a judge, not a politician. I am a good judge, but I admit that I was not a very good politician in that last election. However, let's look at things as they are now. I work hard every day, not only as a circuit court judge, but as the chief judge of Monongalia County Circuit Court. Both of those are huge responsibilities, and I handle every one of them with skill. As to the circuit court judge part, I go into every hearing and every trial prepared. I read the motions before me, and I make substantive rulings from the bench once I have heard everyone's oral arguments. I let the parties have their say. I respect the job that the lawyers are doing for their clients, and I make specific, understandable rulings. Although everyone cannot win when two parties go up against each other, no one goes out of my courtroom saying that they have not been heard. As to the chief judge part, even without the coronavirus aspect, being chief judge brings with it administrative responsibilities over every department in the Justice Center. I help them with the needs of their offices as well as the needs of their personnel. We have very skilled professionals in every office of the Justice Center, and I am privileged to be able to help them every day in any way I can. Then you add the coronavirus aspect, and the duties of the chief judge increase exponentially. We have had to work with schedules, with technology, with access to the Justice Center, and with immediate situations as they arise. But those of us in the Justice Center are absolutely determined to get through this situation together. I have a proven record of ability, dedication to the job, and solid judgment. I stand on that record. And I think that it is obvious that I am the best choice to continue as Chief Judge of Monongalia County. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Scudder. Our last respondent for that question of the circuit judges is Mr. Michael Sims.
So why should voters vote for me? I'm the only candidate that's promising to do something positive for our veterans. I will start a veterans treatment court for our veterans that have service-related issues. For our eligible vets, I am going to work for them and with them to help give them a second chance to live better lives and get reintegrated back into the community. I'll also bring a new energy to the bench by revitalizing our drug court, by making more referrals to teen court. These programs work. They keep our community safe, they save our taxpayers money, and they lead to better outcomes for the people that go through the court system. I'm the only candidate who's built a successful law practice from the ground up. So I know how to manage a law practice, I know how to manage time, and I know how to build relationships. For over 13 years, I've helped truck drivers, small business owners, veterans, children, minors, and other people put their lives back together and move through what's often one of the most difficult times in their lives. I've also done just about everything that a circuit court judge does, whether it be abuse and neglect work, representing juveniles, criminal jury trials, being involved in civil cases, appeals, and more, including arguing 2 cases before the West Virginia Supreme Court. I do want to balance the court. And I think that we need people with different backgrounds on the bench. I think it builds public confidence in the judiciary, and I think it leads to better judicial decision-making. So if you want energy, if you want to revitalize drug and teen court, if you want better outcomes for families and for our community, if you want to give our teens a better chance, if you want to give our veterans a second chance, vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I'll take this opportunity now just for a moment. So unbeknownst to our panelists, or maybe you are aware of it, we've had a couple disruptions in our stream. While we have chatted along in our Zoom meeting, we've had a couple breaks in our feed out to Facebook Live. And so that has kind of chopped up our comments and our viewers. I just want to say again, we have about 50 viewers watching us via Facebook Live. We've maintained about 50 throughout all of this, through the different chops and the breaks. And so I want to say again, welcome to our Facebook Live audience. If you have a question that you would like to be posed to one of the panelists or all of the panelists, please post it right there in the comment section of the Facebook Live page. By all means, we'll share your comment or we'll share your question. We won't share your comment, but if you have a question and you'd like to hear one of our panelists address that question, we by all means will post that. Before we go into question 3 for our magistrate candidates, I do want to try one more time for Mr. Gougeot. I know he's come back into the room and he's using his phone. I'm going to try to unmute you, Mr. Gougeot, and see if you can there, I have your phone unmuted and your computer muted. We'll try to. No, sir.
Is this any more clear than it was before?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about
To the viewers, I'm going to have to mute you back. To the viewers, I'm very sorry. To Mr. Gougeot, obviously, we're very sorry that there's technical problem. And to the viewers who were wondering what's going on, is sometimes technology is hard to overcome, and it's not for lack of trying, I promise you. Mr. Gougeot has been on the call with our vice chair and trying to get this worked out. He's been very accommodating, trying to get it fixed. So it's not on his end. It's not on our end. It's just one of those free happenstance things that's causing him to be blocked out of this conversation. And we're not doing it on purpose, and he's not doing it on purpose. So to our viewers, we apologize, and to him, we apologize. But let's move into our magistrate candidates. Stephanie Nefkin, you'll be first up answering the question, why should voters choose you? Go ahead, Stephanie.
So why should voters choose me? There are several different reasons. First off is my legal background. As I had stated before, I've got that 3 years of law school and my 5 years of practicing, where I've done a lot of different types of cases in a lot of different types of court. And second, I've got a good working relationship with the circuit judges, with the magistrates that are sitting now, with the prosecutor's office, with the circuit clerk's office, with the bailiffs. I mean, the whole court system there knows who I am, knows the type of work I do, knows that I'm there for every hearing, that I'm on time for every hearing, knows that I'm responsible and reliable. And I believe that if you ask anybody at that Justice Center, that they will tell you the same. Also, I believe my experience with working with our DBIC as a pro bono attorney shows that I can work both sides of a case, that I can defend the criminal, and I can also sympathize with the victim. So I think with all of these things together, I think I'm the best candidate for magistrate given all of these factors. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our next up will be Magistrate Tim Pocious. Let me look up there. I'm sorry, I was writing and saying at the same time. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay. Why do I think that I should be voted for over my opponents? I will say, first and foremost, I'm doing the job, and I'm being told I'm doing the job well. To the people of Monongalia County, I'm one of you. I'm a hardworking citizen of Monongalia County, and it's been a privilege for the last year to serve you as magistrate. You vote for me, and you'll be represented by one of your own. It's been brought up a few times in this that law degree should be a factor in being a magistrate. I encourage anyone to go to the West Virginia Legislative website and look up qualifications for a magistrate. It's not there. It is not there. A law degree is not required to be a magistrate here. Common sense is, and I believe I have that common sense. I've proven the ability to apply case law and using common sense in my decisions. So I think I am the only candidate with the appropriate work experience to maintain this magistrate seat. So as I've stated before, and I'll state again, I have the experience, I have the knowledge, and I have the drive to be your magistrate. So I would appreciate your vote, and thank you all.
Very good. Thank you, Tim. Next up is Mr. Reyes. Give me 1 minute there. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Reyes.
Why should the people of Monongalia County vote for me? One word: experience. I've been working in that magistrate court for 20 some years. I have the legal background, the knowledge, the experience. Mr. Post has talked about common sense, and a lot of things that happen in the legal system are common sense. However, there are times, especially when you have trials and you have issues of evidence, and you have to look at the rules of evidence and criminal procedure to make a decision. And that's when legal training comes in to make that decision a lot easier. And that translates into a fair administration of justice for the parties involved in the action, whether it's a civil matter or a criminal matter. So I believe that experience is a big factor working in the magistrate court and running a magistrate court system. And I have that. I've tried everything. I've tried every kind of case there is. We tried in magistrate court. And so I bring that experience and knowledge. On top of that, I worked extremely hard at that. So I'm asking the voters of Monongalia County to look at my record and vote for me in the June primary election.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Bain, your answer to the question?
We'll have some, give me a second here, it's gonna come up. We just have to remember this is a nonpartisan election, and everybody gets a vote in each one of the divisions. Like Mr. Reyes and I, we have different political backgrounds. I'm an independent and he's a Democrat, so that wouldn't even matter on this one. It's a nonpartisan race. Also, just remember we're in Division 1, so I am asking for your vote. But when we look at political experience and the background I have 16 years on council of making laws. I've voted on and also worked and structured almost 6,000 laws while I was there, working with other people and other cities and counties to see how we're doing. I worked with a lot of different agencies as I was on council, and I got that experience from that. Also, in my work experience at the hospital, I also had to work with unions, and I had grievance hearings that I was the judge in those grievance hearings, and we had to make decisions on how discipline was going to go or how we were going to interpret the contract to make sure that both parties were whole. So I did that for a lot of years at the hospital. I was at the hospital for 25 years. So those are some of the experiences I have. Of course, I already talked about my degrees, and I guess I'm one of those guys that I'm not good about talking about all that stuff about me. I like the sense of how the court is set up, the common court. I'm going to be a peer to you and not a legal professional. I'm going to be a person that's going to look at it, and I know that I can bring that common sense approach to things that I have had in life experience, both on work and also at the professional level. And so I bring a different experience than Mr. Reyes brings, and it's up to you to make a decision. I look at it this way: I'm not running against Mr. Reyes. I think he's a nice person, and I'm just a guy who wants this job just as bad as he does. And I hope you vote for me. So thanks.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Bain. Mr. Gajot, let's try one more time before we throw in the towel. I'm going to unmute your phone. Please don't unmute your computer. I'm going to unmute your phone, and let's see if that works for us. Go ahead and see. Can you try saying something now for us? Yeah, we're just not getting the audio through your phone, and when we try to come through the audio,
This is it still bad?
it's still. No, I'm going to mute you. It's still just very computerized. So I apologize. I would like to extend to you, if you'd like to respond to the questions as the other candidates have, maybe you'd like to do it in writing. We could publish it that way for you, or do something, we'd like to do something so that you're not completely cut out of this opportunity. We're going to go into the wrap up. We've got our closing period. We're going to close this up here. Paula, have I missed anything, or do we have anything that we've missed doing yet?
We certainly have covered all the questions that we had, and I hadn't seen any more public questions. Let me take a quick scan.
You all missed me on question number 3.
Yeah, we do have Sandy Holpett to answer for question number 3. Go ahead, Sandy.
That's okay. All right. Why you should vote for me rather than my opponent, right? Well, you should vote for me because I have an impeccable record of service. I have adjudicated over 20,000 cases in the past 12 years, along with thousands of other hearings that I've done. I am experienced, I'm dedicated, I'm fair, I'm impartial, and I am committed to making a difference. Whereas my opponent is just the opposite. Arlie Campbell, AKA Eddie Campbell. And trust me, I have struggled with letting you know this. But because I have made a promise to the citizens of this county for 12 years, I have to do this. He has charges, criminal charges over the years. And he disregards the law in many ways. To give you an example, when we went down and filed for our candidacy, every single one of us, we were given a copy of the law about putting campaign signs on state right-of-ways and attaching any signs to any fixtures owned by the state. Well, he has done that all over the county. And if you go up on the mile ground at the airport stoplights, check this out. If you go up there, go on the opposite side of the airport, opposite side of the airport, and you will see his sign tied to a state sign. The state came in and took out 9 of his signs just in the roundabout. 9. He disregards all laws. Actually, he's running against me, and I have a copy of it here because I signed a criminal complaint against him October 23rd, 2018. I do believe he's running against me as a vendetta. By the way, here's a copy of the law 17-19-1 about the signs on state right-of-ways. So I struggled with saying anything about this, but I do believe he is the poster child for the state legislators to go back and look at the requirements for a magistrate. They're very lenient. They're not very good requirements. And I think the legislators do need to go back and take a look at the requirements that should be for someone to run as a magistrate, because here's what I pose to everybody listening tonight. Do you want somebody sitting in a courtroom on a bench that does not respect your laws, our laws, the Constitution? Do you want them sitting on the bench passing judgment on you? I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyway, I'm asking for you to vote for me. I have a proven track record. I have an excellent track record. I have a lot of experience, which we really need in this county because we are so busy. We're next to Kanawha County, actually, in cases. And keep in mind, I don't have a criminal record of any kind. So it's your choice on election day. And I really hope you vote for me. I'm in Division 4. And I'm sorry to have had to share that information, but I just had to. I felt I was obligated. I am sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Magistrate Holpett, for your answer. It's timely. Actually, Mr. Campbell had submitted a response. He just had messaged me actually via Facebook, an inbox message that he was unable to attend tonight. And I offered him the same offer to Mr. Gougeot if he wanted to provide a statement. And so you know, I wasn't intending to do this as a response to your comments, and it's falling in the timeline. So I apologize if it does seem like it's point and counterpoint. It truly isn't. But Mr. Campbell sent the following message. I'm truly sorry I was unable to join you tonight. I had other personal commitments. I want you to know that I'm entirely committed to this election and the people of Monongalia County. I believe that everyone should be treated fairly with dignity and respect. I fought for fair property tax appraisals in Mon County in 2011. I was a provider of community service hours through the probation office. I am compassionate towards what others are going through and promise to help them to the best of my ability. I believe the people of Mon County are ready for a change, and I'm asking for your support. Thank you and stay safe, Arlie. So that's his prepared statement. We'll go into closing now. So Paula, again, have we missed anything? Are we ready to go into closing? We're going to let Judge Scudder start first with a 1-minute close, and then it'll be Scudder, Sims, Scott, and then we'll come into the magistrates. But Paula, have I missed anything?
I don't believe so. No, I think we're good. Anyone else? I don't think so.
We do have so let's just catch this while Todd is still on the phone. Todd is in a chat with his a little statement. So, you know, everyone should know as they're watching that Mr. Gougeot did try very hard to get engaged and be involved in this. And he sent a chat. It's my pledge is to be a fair and impartial jurist, setting aside ideologies and beliefs to judge each issue on its own merit. And so we'll take, that's from Mr. Gougeot, his statement. Again, we apologize that he had some technical issues and couldn't get connected in such a way that we could hear him. But let's go in to start our closing segment. It's 8:50 now. We had anticipated that this town hall would last a couple hours. And so even with the couple disruptions, we're still fairly close to being on target. If we all keep it to about a minute in our closing, we should be done by about 9 p.m. So Judge Scudder, if you'll go ahead.
I would like to thank the Republican Executive Committee for your hospitality this evening. It's always a good thing when the public can learn more about how our courts work, especially now when things are so stressed in our court system because of the coronavirus. If I am chosen by the people to continue my present role as Monongalia County's Chief Judge, I plan to continue the good work that I started over a year ago with my appointment to the bench. Thank you again, and I hope that all of you stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Scudder. Next will be Mr. Michael Sims.
Thank you. I'm a lawyer for the people. I'll bring balance to the court. I'll start a veterans treatment court, which we need and which we deserve. I'll revitalize teen court and drug court, and I'll bring a new energy into circuit court, leading to better outcomes for our community. If you want to find out more about me, find me on Facebook at Sims for Judge or online at simsforjudge.com. I would encourage anyone who's listening tonight to contact me with questions. I'm happy to answer them and engage with you. And the last thing I'll say is, when I'm elected, come see me in the courtroom. It's one of the greatest things about a judicial election is that, you know, we're elected officials, but we're also open to the public unless it's a juvenile matter or involving kids. On any given day, almost all the court proceedings are open to the public. So please come and see. Everyone is welcome, and you should see me at work in circuit court. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sims. Cindy Scott is next.
Thank you. As a lifelong resident of Mon County, I know that our county deserves accountable leadership that I will provide. I have dedicated my personal and my professional life to public service here in Monongalia County, and the voters should vote for someone who's been doing and serving in every aspect of what a good judge does for this county. I would caution you to be leery of politicians and of promises to get a vote that maybe can't actually be fulfilled or aren't really what our county needs. I have experience with drug court. I know that program and I know the success of that program. And while I absolutely want to support veterans, I know there have been very few veterans that have actually gone through the Monongalia County Drug Court, kind of minimizing the need for those resources to be spent in this county at this time. And so I say to you, look at the candidates, look at this experience. I've had representations in thousands and thousands of court cases from both sides of the courtroom, which uniquely equip me to bring that perspective to the bench to very efficiently and very well serve Monongalia County. So I ask for your support and your vote in this election. Thank you again to Ethan and Charlie and Paula for setting this up. And I too wish everyone the best of health and stay safe during this pandemic time. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. So we'll, just to let everyone know, we've had several viewers drop in and drop out. Kyle just texted me to let me know that over the time, although it's been fragmented, we've had as many as 96 unique viewers check in on this and watch for a measurable amount of time. And so congratulations. I've been to several town halls in Monongalia County over the past 10 years, and I doubt that they get 100 participants in a live town hall. So it was an effective way tonight for you to be able to speak to the constituents, to the voters. Thank you to the panelists for participating. I'll let our magistrates do a 1-minute close now each, and then we'll wrap up and dismiss. So we'll start with Mr. Bain. Go ahead, Ron.
First of all, I want to thank Ethan and Paula for both hosting this and letting us have an opportunity with all that's going on. It's very difficult to get out there and talk to people and I think everybody had schedules of what they wanted to do and go see people. So it's been very, very different. And also thank you for letting us play with this stuff. It's been fun to put a background and do some stuff that we normally don't get to play with. So it's been fun to do that. But just in closing, just remember nonpartisan election. We have 4 divisions. Please vote in every division, even Mr. Neighbors, Magistrate Neighbors would like to have votes. So please make sure you do that. It's the second time that it's been this way. So with different divisions just really bottom line is I really want to do this. I mean, I'm excited about it, and I really, really want to be the magistrate in Mon County in Division 1, and I would appreciate your vote. Thanks.
And very good. Thank you, Mr. Bain. And now Mr. Reyes.
How do I hit this? Yeah, unmute.
Yep, you're good to go. Go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the Republican Executive Committee for having me on tonight. I really appreciate that. I'm going to tell the public that I'm a U.S. Marine Corps Vietnam veteran. I served 21 years with the West Virginia State Police, 22 years with the Army Reserve. And I've dedicated my life to public service. That's all I've done in my lifetime. And I really enjoy that. I served 20 years in the prosecutor's office. In 20 years, I was the magistrate court prosecutor. So I know the ins and outs of magistrate court. And not only that, my legal education, I think, will help me make decisions that are fair and impartial. If folks want to learn more about me, they can go to my website, reyesformagistrate.com, and they'll know what kind of individual I am. So I'm asking the voters of Monongalia County to vote for me on June 9th for Division 1 magistrate. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Next up will be Magistrate Hopett.
I would love to thank you all very much for giving us this opportunity. With the virus, there are very limited ways for us to reach out and let people know who we are. And you all have done a great service, I believe, tonight. And I thank you very, very much. With that said, I have 12 years of experience. I have an impeccable record. I'm dedicated. I have done over 20,000 cases in this county. Our county needs experience. I can give the county that experience and continue to do the job that I've done the past 12 years and continue to try to make a difference in my community. I love my community. I love my county. I love the people here. And I just want to keep on making a difference. So I hope you vote for me. I'm in Division 4. And I want to thank you all very much and good night.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Sandy. Next up will be Stephanie Nefkin.
So in closing, I'd just like to thank the GOP for this invitation. I've had a great time getting to know all of the candidates tonight, and I'm asking for your vote on June 9th for Division 2. I think my legal experience and my background really give me a unique experience to be a magistrate, and Mon County has given me so much. As I have said, I grew up here, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, law school, all here in Mon County, and I want to give back to you. If you'd like to learn more about me, or if you have any other questions, please visit Stephanie Nefkin for Magistrate on Facebook. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Mr. Pocious. Looking, there we go.
All right. First off, I'd like to thank everyone. This was a wonderful experience, a little choppy at times, but we got through it. I'd like to extend to everyone, keep flattening the curve. Social distancing is working. But having said that, vote, get out and vote. Not only important for me, but important for everyone. Make sure you vote. And when you do, vote for Magistrate Tim Pocious, Division 2. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tim. You know, I do have, I'm going to go ahead and drop Tim on mute. So Mr. Gajot has sent me some, he added another bit to his chat there since we're in the closing period. Mr. Gajot typed in the chat to us all, and I'll just read it aloud for us. And again, this is Mr. Gajot, candidate for magistrate. My first and top priority is to work hard each day to practice civility and to work well with the other magistrates to assure that the magistrate court system performs its duties. And then he asked, please visit Gajot for Magistrate, and that's the number 4. So Gajot, G-A-U-J-O-T for Magistrate on social media and Facebook, and he'd be happy to answer any relevant question the citizen or voter may have. So with that said, I think we have allowed everyone to have their time to close. And I again want to say it's 9:01, so we were pretty close to our time. I appreciate everyone's time. I know setting through a 2-hour conference call can be tough, and setting through one where you know you're on screen and people are watching you is a little bit tougher. And so we thank you. Again, on behalf of the Monongalia County Republican Executive Committee, thank you to these candidates for running. Thank you for being brave enough and bold enough to put your hat in the ring, raise your hand and say, I will run to serve the people of Monongalia County. It takes nerve and it takes courage to do so. And so we thank you for that. We also thank you for joining us tonight and participating in this, our first of 5 virtual town hall meetings. Getting a text, I want to make sure Kyle was just letting me know that we kept adding viewers all the way through. So we did have a successful night with viewers watching. Again, thank you for joining our first of 5. To the viewers who are still watching, please join us Thursday night, 7 p.m. on our Facebook page. We'll be having a panel that consists of candidates for Monongalia County Board of Education, County Commissioner Ed Hawkins running for re-election, and then the 2 Republicans who are vying for county surveyor. And so with that said, thank you to our panelists. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your energy, and everyone stay safe. And that concludes our live stream. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you.